So, a lot of us have heard of the book Think and Grow Rich, but how do you actually apply it to make it work in your life right now in the 21st century? That's what we're going to talk about today with David Meltzer. Hello, my fellow Ripplers. This is Chris Miles, your cash flow expert and anti-financial advisor. This show is for you if you want to have enough passive income that you become work optional, where you work because you want to, not because you have to. All right, guys. So as I mentioned, we have David Meltzer here with us. Now, one thing that's amazing about him, he's the chairman of the Napoleon Hill Institute. So those of you that have read Think and Grow Rich, he's the chairman of that company. Furthermore, he also served as CEO of the very sports agency that inspired Jerry Maguire. That's right. He showed you the money, right? So he was part of that as well. Been recognized with so many different awards, everything from like Variety magazine recognizing him as the Sports Humanitarian of the Year, as well as the Ellis Island Medal of Honor. So I'm so excited and honored to be able to have David on here with us. So David, welcome to our show.
What a great introduction and what a great place to be on my mission to empower over a billion people to be happy through the philosophies, principles, and practices of Napoleon Hill, not only in Think and Grow Rich, but also in all the subsidiary work that you mentioned, 3 Feet from Gold, Outwitting the Devil, the success laws and principles. So to be able to share a capability that you help so many with, when I talk about empowering others to empower others to be happy, I talk about making a lot of money for the sake of helping a lot of people and having a lot of fun. I've never met anybody on earth that makes a lot of money, helps a lot of people, and has a lot of fun each and every day that isn't happy. So thank you for allowing me to be here to share the wisdom and the faith that it takes to shorten the distance of resistance between you and the wealth that you want to engineer.
Yeah, man. It's such an honor, of course. Now, we just had Sharon on earlier this year. I know it's a mutual friend of ours and dear friend of yours, especially. But give us some of your backstory. How did you even become aligned with the Napoleon Hill Institute?
I was blessed to have a great journey where I made my first $1 million 9 months out of law school. Big exit in 1995, 3 years later, 3.4 billion with Thomson Reuters and West Publishing, CEO of Samsung's data division by the time I was 31,
Wow.
worth over $100 million and running the most notable sports agency in the world. I lost everything. Not only did I lose all the $100 million, but I had access to what billionaires could afford to have as CEO and the leader of the notable sports agency that they made the movie Jerry Maguire about. But for me, it was those lessons 18 years ago that exposed me to things that I had read in the past, but particularly Think and Grow Rich. And so my mentor, Bob Proctor, was well aligned with Don Green and the Napoleon Hill Foundation.
Mhm.
Bob Proctor reintroduced Think and Grow Rich to me. Sharon Lechter, who's a mentor as well, had released when she became a mentor, Outwitting the Devil, 3 Feet from Gold, working with Greg Reed and Secret Knock. I was exposed to these two great leaders and mentors of mine. And that led me to do Think and Grow Rich, the movie, Think and Grow Rich, the legacy book, to understand the extraordinary content and how to, as Sharon and Greg did, how to modernize the mindset, heart set, and handset that has changed more lives than any other personal or professional leader. And most of the biggest names in thought leadership will credit Napoleon Hill for what they base, whether it's Tony Robbins, Damon John, Ed Milet, you pick it, and you ask them, what do you think about Napoleon Hill's Think and Grow Rich? They'll say, that's the Bible, which is why it's sold over, over a half a billion copies around the world.
Yep. Yeah, I remember when we used to be a financial advisor. Now I'm the anti-financial advisor. When I used to be, I actually worked with Ed Milet's company, and Think and Grow Rich was one of the
WFG.
first must reads, right? You had to read it. I read it like 3 times. I could not get it. And the crazy thing is, once I met other people that really embodied abundance, really understood it, then I read Master Key to Riches. It almost felt like it clicked for me, but most people I recommend Master Key to Riches, it's like, ugh, too technical. Just give me Think and Grow Rich, please, right? So I mean, what was kind of your story with Think and Grow Rich and how it helped you?
It helped me shift a paradigm and working with Napoleon Hill Institute and Foundation. And then also people like you had mentioned, Eddie Wilson and Andrew Cordell, and the Aspire Business Tour, which I'm on. It's more than making money.
Mhm.
It's engineering wealth.
Yeah.
You mentioned your definition of wealthy, and I love your introduction because I tell people all the time when I realized that I never would be happy when, but I'm always happy for the sake of what.
Mm.
And within the context of that, I was going to be socially wealthy, healthy, wealthy, financially wealthy when I was able and capable of doing what I wanted, when I wanted, with who I wanted, for as long as I wanted. And it's
Yeah.
taken me 18 years from bankruptcy, 18 years of consistent, everyday, persistent, without quit pursuit of my potential by asking for help and helping others to
Mhm.
get me to a place where I can do what I want, when I want, with who I want, for as long as I want.
Yeah. And you went through some hard times, obviously. I mean, you went through
My
some
basement had a
struggles.
basement, let's be honest.
That's right. I mean, some people are like, "Oh man, I had a rough time." You're like, "No, no, no. You don't know what it's like. You could lose a lot." In fact, I'll tell you, for me, 3 Feet from Gold, that was one of the things that between that book and I was reading Never Give Up by Donald Trump at the same
Yep.
time, and I remember just thinking, "Man, it could always be worse."
Yeah, Gary likes to frame things. Gary Vaynerchuk, who I'll be with twice next week at Ad Week and an Inspire Tour in DC, he
Mhm.
loves to frame it to the at least I'm alive. Like
Yeah.
I don't need to frame things that bad. I also think comparison's the thief of joy. I focus on the behaviors and that paradigm shift of I am versus this is what I want people to think I am. You see, I was buying shit I didn't need to impress people I didn't like. And if you want a formula to non-success, no
Mhm.
matter how much money you have, go ahead and buy shit that you don't need to impress people you don't like because you're worried about what people think you are. When you look at, I am happy, I am healthy, I am wealthy, I am worthy, what am I doing to interfere with it? You'll set yourself into a divine direction. And all of these detours in entrepreneurship and personal life that occur, all these detours I guarantee will occur, it's amazing because instead of only looking at, hey, there's no evidence, the evidence is contrary to where I want to be, I'm going to quit, I'm punished by God, you will
Mhm.
see the promotion, perfection, love, and perfection. Let me quickly share a story because you keep things concise like me. Not only did I lose over $100 million, the only reason I wanted to be rich was to buy my mom, a single mom who raised 6 kids on her own, a house and a car, create financial security for her.
Yeah.
I had to go tell my mom I went bankrupt, but lost her house in my bankruptcy. She had to move. So
Oh
my
no.
basement had a basement. There's no evidence at that time. And I even told my mom, why am I being punished? She said, God doesn't punish you. I said, well, Mom, I don't believe in God. And she said to me, oh, son, you believe in God. You just believe in the wrong God.
Mm.
And through great mentorship from my mom, my dad, my best friend and my wife especially, who at that time I hated all four of them because they were the only one that cared enough about me to tell me the truth, to tell me I was lost, to tell me that I was going to end up dead if I didn't start doing the right things and taking stock in who I was and what I wanted to become, which led me to read Think and Grow Rich, to ask for help, all the things I teach today to help other people to be able to do what they want, when they want, with who they want, for as long as they want.
I've heard you several times say, reach out for help. Do you feel like that's something that's missing for a lot of people nowadays?
Yeah, I think the two things are missing are directly aligned with Think and Grow Rich. One,
Yeah.
people don't have a definiteness of purpose.
Hmm.
They don't know what they want and where they want to be or better. Two, they don't know their who they can help or who can help them. See, the fastest way to get to where you want to be, Chris, is to find someone and help them get to where they want to be, but also find someone who's in a situation you want to be in, like Sharon Lechter, like Bob Proctor, like Jack Canfield, like all of these people, Wayne Dyer, like all of these people that are alive and dead, like Napoleon Hill. That's the key to success. So for me, what you want, who you can help, and who can help you will help you with how to get it done and allow you to prioritize where you want to be or better.
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, what else do you feel people are missing nowadays too? Like, I mean, especially with your mission with Napoleon Hill Foundation, what do you feel like is really needs to be the message that people really grasp onto?
You know what? It's the idea of 1,000 steps. This is a problem. Everyone, they did a It was awesome. They did this research and they said no matter how much money someone had, that all of the people would be happy when they had 2 to 3 times more money.
Hmm.
This whole idea of I'll be happy when instead of for the sake of what. So for me, the biggest thing is understanding behaviors are what create that 3 feet from gold scenario or the think and grow rich scenario. What do I mean from that? For me, I coach 1,000 steps. And it is in the context of relativity and time, which is why I study Einstein, because he's probably the best teacher of relativity and time. What do I mean by that? When my kids come to me and say, Dad, I want to go work for Ryan Serhant. I want to be a real estate developer. I want to learn. I said, okay, it's going to take you 1,000 steps to get to where you want to be in real estate. I don't know how long it's going to take you, and neither do you. And it doesn't matter. What really matters is to understand that 90% of the time is going to get you to 250 steps. And most people quit because of that. And if you go in saying, is the intention of today, the definiteness of purpose of today, am I doing, thinking, saying, believing, and feeling today towards the 1,000 steps? If I'm doing that and I do that and enjoy that, learn to love the things I don't love or love about what I love, is really important to enjoy it consistently, every day, persistently in the pursuit of that potential. If I go in with the mindset that it's going to take 90% of the time just to get me to 250 steps, knowing that it's only another 5% of the time for 500 steps and only another 5% to 1,000. That's what exponentiality, that's what you're an anti-financial guy. Everybody knows the rule of 72. That's how we make money. Everything compounds, accelerates, and aggregates when we pay attention and give intention to the coincidences that we want, the coinciding of everything to accelerate, aggregate, and compound. This is the secret sauce. This is three
Yeah.
feet from gold. My
Mhm.
1,000 steps says if you're not in a predisposition,
If you've been following this podcast, you're probably looking for great ways to create passive income right now, right? Well, we got you covered here with Central Lending. Central Lending specializes in alternative investments that actually are designed to create steady returns and long-term financial security for you and your family. Now, they prioritize transparency. They love, building those strong relationships, giving you that confidence and peace of mind, knowing that you have your money working harder for you, so you don't have to work so hard for that money. You want to learn more how to do that? Go to centrallending.com and check out what they've got today to create your passive income and wealth creation right now.
of wisdom and faith, that it's going to take 90% of the time, and the steps are going to be crazy, bigger, smaller, wet, broken, icy, dirty. You're going to have to take 3 steps back to go 5 steps forward. None of that matters if you have the wisdom and the faith to shorten the distance of resistance to get to 1,000 steps. It is wisdom and faith of having non-negotiable behaviors every day and analyzing your behaviors aligned with where you want to be or better, aligned with what's doing well, what's stable, and what you think is doing well. And you can accelerate, aggregate, and compound your life, all of their objectives and all of your goals in that manner. And that's where people create true, or I should say, they engineer wealth.
Yeah. Man, I think somebody needs to go back and rewind that last section again because there's a lot packed in there. Because, for example, it reminded me when I read 3 Feet from Gold. Of course, I was feeling dejected because I went from financially independent, 28 years old, thinking I'm the best. I got the Midas touch and best person ever. And then of course I lose it all and then some. I go over $1 million in debt. Not quite probably what you experienced, but still for me it was 1 million in debt and thinking
Zero,
like I'm
zero, debt's debt, right? I don't care how
yeah.
much you had.
Yeah, I felt hopeless almost, and I remember reading that book and the whole concept that kept sticking in my mind was a lot of the stories would say it took me 10 years to become an overnight success,
Oh, yeah.
right? Those compounded efforts that keep coming and coming, and it seems like it's never going to get there. And I feel like, especially today, and I even just listened to Tim Tebow a few days ago or speak, right? He talks about those non-negotiables, like you just said. And then when you put that all together, I would start to wonder because I see this a lot with the younger generation. It seems like that grit and that persistence is lacking. It seems like people want things so fast nowadays that they never quite see the fruit of their efforts. I mean, is that something you're seeing as well?
Of course, I see a huge energy gap in that area, as
Yeah.
well as the area. And obviously, social media exacerbates and amplifies these two problems
Oh yeah.
of instant gratification. but also just the idea that I mentioned earlier, how many people are virtual Great Gatsbys on the internet, right?
Uh-huh.
This is what I want people to think I am. I joked around at a Great Gatsby wedding in Newport, Rhode Island. I said, you know what I think about this younger generation? They're lucky because, Vanderbilt actually lost that money. I actually lost that money. You actually lost that money. These
Mhm.
people are just standing in front of houses and cars they don't own. They're actually trying to impress people and
Yeah.
not buy the things to impress people they don't like. They just take pictures of the things and pretend like they own them
Uh-huh.
and for people that they don't like. It's a whole different virtual Gatsby. But these two energy gaps between I am and this is what I want people to think I am, and this is how long it takes to get to where I want to be or better compared to this is how long I think it takes. I joke around
Yeah.
and you may have heard this before. People could tell me, well, I think it's going to take me about this much time and this much money to get started. And my answer is always the same: double it. Now, if you think it's going to take that much time, it's going to take at least twice as much time and twice as much money to get you there. But that's okay if you focus in on the behaviors and for sake of what? Not, I'll be happy when I get there.
I love that. So true. I want to go back to another point you brought up too. You mentioned about not just figuring out what you're good at and what you love, but even enjoy it in the process. What's the real reason behind the enjoyment? Because there can be people that just grind it out, just hate life. I mean, Gary Vee often, like a lot of people talk about how he just says, work 180 hours a week, even though it's not 180 hours, and just grind it out, and then you're going to be happy. But we both know that's not really the case.
Yeah.
What? Tell me about that enjoyment. Like, why is that so important in the process?
Well, understanding time and relativity. So, we are given 24 hours a day, every human being, guaranteed, except for the last day of your life. But if you give it the wrong meaning, you're going to limit your self image. You're going to create interference. See, God is a commander. He gave us 10 commandments, not 10 demandments. Commanding means to work with. God's working with me. And so, under the guise of faith, I say to myself, what meaning do I give my past? Punishment or promotion, protection, love, and perfection? What meaning do I give this? And the way that we give meaning is to learn. And so, even with my own children, I'll ask them when they have a failure or a mistake. Notice my brand, made from mistakes.
Mhm.
Why? Because I asked myself, what did I do to attract this to myself? What did I do to be responsible for this? What am I doing to participate in this perception? But most importantly, what am I supposed to learn from it? Because we cast a shadow on our future by giving the wrong meaning to the failures, the setbacks, the mistakes, the defining moments of our lives, the historical relevances of our lives. When you were $1 million in debt, if you gave it the wrong meaning, you wouldn't be here today, 1,000 episodes in.
That's right.
You wouldn't be here making more money, helping more people, and having more fun. That wasn't a punishment. It was a promotion, a protection, a love and perfection of you because you knew you were made from these mistakes and you were looking to see what am I supposed to learn. Watch this. Here's a mathematical equation for everyone with struggle and pain. First of all, God gives you a body. The minute he gives you a body, you are inherently going to experience pain and struggle. If you had no body, if God didn't give you a body, you would have no pain or struggle. And
Right.
so when every pain and struggle occurs, the solution is already there. It's just a lapse of time until you find the solution that was already there, the resolution to the pain, the resolution to the problem. And the way we shorten that distance of resistance is through the meaning that we give the mistakes, the setbacks, the failures, the defining moments that I'm talking about. And when we're able and capable of doing that, we're going to accelerate, aggregate, and compound exponentially where we're going to be or better because we have wisdom we're seeking from others and helping others with, and faith we're protected, promoted, loved, and perfected.
Love it. That's another rewind one for you guys. You got to rewind that part too. By the way, I love the cap. I got it from
I'll have to get you one.
yeah, that's
No,
fantastic.
notice I purposely made mistakes in the spelling. That's
Exactly.
a lot of people like, dude, you screwed up the font. I'm like, no, it's kind of a subliminal, purposeful thing. But yeah, thanks for telling me.
Yeah. Well, because people automatically say, well, no, that's not right. It's not supposed to be that way. It's supposed to be together. Like, no, it's perfect. That's the way it's supposed to be, which is exactly what you just described in that message.
Beautiful.
Yeah. Well, two last questions for you. One, what's the best way for people to follow you, get to know your stuff, right?
Thank you for asking. I want to offer everyone in your community, I will sign my book, send it to you, pay for shipping, pay for the book. So the best way to contact me is email. I'm old school. Email me directly, david@dmeltzer.com, david@dmeltzer.com. But if you forget that, david@dmeltzer.com, just Google ChatGPT, David Meltzer. I'm blessed to have a huge following on every platform. I'm readily accessible. So reach out to me on any platform at my name, David Meltzer, or email me, david@dmeltzer.com.
That's such a generous gift. Appreciate that so much. Final question. This is the Money Ripples podcast. We talk about creating a ripple effect through people's lives, right? David, what's the ripple effect that you want to create on this planet?
I want to empower others to empower others, creating that ripple effect with three capabilities: abundance of making a lot of money for the sake of helping a lot of people and having a lot of fun. If I can empower 1,000 people like you, Chris, to empower 1,000 through your show, to empower 1,000 times 1,000's a million times 1,000's a billion, humbly with the commandments of God, I will change the world by empowering others to empower others to do these three things. And you're the perfect person to help me. You get it. You've been studying the same stuff as me and executing on it for many, many years. Thank you so much for being one of my partners to change the world.
Absolutely. No, you're completely in line with what we're talking about here, especially whereas we're trying to create 1,000 families financially independent by 2030. So, hey, we're going for those 1,000 as well. So thank you so much for being a part of the show today.
I definitely will come back and invite you on mine. Thank you so much for the time and the opportunity.
Absolutely. Everybody, make sure you go find David. Generous offer to get that book. So be sure to get that autographed book by David. And of course, remember, as we've talked about before, you can listen to these episodes all day long, but you're not supposed to be a hearer of the word. You're supposed to be a doer as well. So make sure you go and make it a wonderful and prosperous week. We'll see you later.